One of the great things about pivoting, you know what that means when you start to look in different directions, although you keep either one foot or your body planted in another, is that you get to see a lot of different options to consider. The challenge then becomes, and figuring out which option to choose is the next step. So we'll discuss that, your pathway pivoting, which option, and more on episode 775 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, how are you? What?
I'm well. How are you?
What was that?
Well, it was just you kind of like get yourself into doesn't seem to flow like it used to, I guess. Just interesting.
I'm kind of tired of doing it, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's just gotten old. I mean, I've done it, probably 700 times now?
Maybe not quite that much.
Just, you get tired of things.
Well, then it's time to change things up.
There's something else that we used to do that I really enjoyed doing that we don't do anymore, and that disappoints me. I even bought a domain around it.
What is it?
We'll come to it. It's not important. It would just distract us.
Sounds like it was valuable to you that you remembered it, and you're like, I really miss it.
I do, but it's not relevant because we've moved on. Okay. We're in a different space. It was good for the time being. It's evolution. So who knows? Maybe I'll finally one day get a new song for the beginning, and there'll be a different thing I can do.
Sounds like a pivot.
Oh. Wow. Folks, I would tell you with the absolute truth, we do not plan these things. We really don't. We couldn't do it as well if we planned it, actually.
Probably. It wouldn't seem as natural, I don't think.
That's it.
At all.
Yes. So, hey, some great weather.
Excuse me. Sorry. My apologies.
Oh, bless you.
I couldn't get the
Are your allergies kicking in? Because mine are.
No, I don't know. It was just...
Okay. And I saw bulbs are coming out of the ground, and some of the trees in Baltimore are starting to bloom.
Until it's
yesterday
40.
It got in the mid 60s.
Yeah, it's not going to be that on Saturday, I don't think. I'll be running around on a field. So
how cool is it Saturday?
I think it's supposed to be 40. I think it's supposed to be a blue sky, which is great, which means it could be sunny. Just to depend on the wind will determine how cold it feels. So.
Right. And the winter 40 is very cool. Like 60 in the winter is different than 60 in the summer because the sun's not as high. So you don't feel it as much.
So you're telling me that there's the same temperature and yet one is colder than the other.
It feels different. It does. If you're outside, there's a cool 60 when it's in the winter and there's a warm 60 in the summer. And the other thing is in the summer when it's 60 degrees, you're thanking the world because it's such a change from 80 or 100. That's what I love about temperature. It's all your perspective. Like to me today, because we've had 60-degree weather, the 40s would be cold. But if you think about traditional winter here, 40 degrees would be about average. And it's all what you're conditioned to and what your perspective is, and also what you're doing. If you're inside, who cares? If you're going outside, hey, you kind of have to worry about it a little bit. You're outside a lot. I haven't even looked at the weather much in the last couple months, because I don't golf at this time of year. So I have no regard for rain, snow, sleet, warm, cold, windy, not windy.
You're just hunkered down in the bunker.
Hunker in the bunker. Boy, that would be a really good name for a podcast.
That would have been a good name for a
COVID
podcast.
name. Yes,
During
yes.
COVID, yes.
Next COVID, I'm in.
That's our next pandemic we have. You're all set. Write it down.
That's a scary thought. Hey, so Tom, what do you say we get rocking and rolling here? You know, that's Tom. I'm Bob, if you haven't figured that out. This is today's Antidote. Every morning we come together on weekdays, and you're enjoying this, aren't you?
I just like to listen, see where you're going.
Every day we come together and we talk about an issue related to small business, leadership, ownership, and we do a topic for the week, and then we break it down each day. And Tom says this very eloquently. I'm doing some pattern interrupting right now by saying it a different way, because every now and then I like to use my words. And I think one of the things that I really like about this program, and I hear from a lot of people, is it gets them thinking about some of the things that they normally do without thought. And I know for me, that's one of the values of this program, is that I think about things that I do or don't do. Like this whole idea this week about the pivoting. I never really thought about it like I have to this level this week. And it's been really interesting to think about pivoting and what it really is and how it affects what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so that's what we tried to bring to the program. We would love your comments. If you want to comment, it's easy. Just go to wherever you're looking at this and or listening to this, and you can comment right on the side there or down at the bottom. If you're in podcast land, I know you can't comment. It's a bummer. I get it. It's sad. It's tragic. It's a travesty. Let's just call it what it is. I would offer you this. Go to the Facebook group, Ring of Renegades, join it, and comment there. Lots of people, 1,200 strong, entrepreneurs, leaders, owners, all trying to figure out these same things. So it's a really safe space to have that discussion, to bring those comments. You're also going to find, if you go there, if you haven't been there lately, or if you haven't been there ever, hey, you're going to find all kinds of really cool stuff. Tom and I post live videos, and we talk about what's going on and relate to the topic of the week often, and just our thoughts beyond what we do in the program. I like to do little whiteboard videos. In fact, I'm thinking one up for today where I take a little whiteboard and scribble and play college professor because it brings me great joy. And the other great thing about the whiteboard videos is I've yet to figure out how to do the whiteboard video and you see my face. So it's kind of like the headless guy doing a whiteboard video. So I think that's really, a beautiful technique, very artsy. And so you have that there. We ask questions and people provide feedback in that. And it's a great place to get support, encouragement, and hint, hint, do some networking without leaving your computer or your phone screen. There are people in that group that are doing great things together. We've got everything from travel agents to lawyers to accountants to tax preparers to insurance brokers to dance instructors to wellness coaches to nonprofit professionals to people leading teams, on and on and on. I could go there. You name it, there is someone in that group that probably does it. I even saw in there that there's someone who does sanitation work. And so it's a really broad brush. So if you're looking for something, that's a great place to start. So you have that as well. So Tom, did I cover everything?
Almost.
What did I miss?
At the conclusion of our conversation, we will share our one thing.
Oh,
the name of this podcast. We'll share today's antidote. The one thing that we hope will help you when you feel stuck and uncertain, with lacking a little bit of confidence, to help you figure out how to move forward, to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, we would encourage you, if you have an antidote to share, to put it in the comments as well, because it might be that one thing someone else is desperately looking for.
I'm really mad at myself right now.
Are you judging yourself again?
I am. I'm
Keegan, if you're listening, mark one. For those of you who don't understand that, is that yesterday Bob encouraged my son Keegan, who tends to chime in, or not chime in, but listen.
There, that's one.
And
the judgment bell.
And Bob, I asked Bob if he was judging, and he said yes. And he talked about how many times he finds himself judging himself. And so we encouraged Keegan to keep track. So there was one. Just saying.
A little over-under.
The over-under. That'll be the new prop bet.
I'm going to go with 11 today. There'll be 11 judgments before the program ends.
Is that one itself?
We're two.
All right. So the other thing you didn't mention was that each morning before we start our conversation, we do our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm celebrating that this thing I've been working on for my business actually had a little bit of a movement yesterday, and I celebrated that last night by buying a really nice pair of running shoes. Look, I even have them audio-visual, a little nice pair of Hoka's. Oh, it's not showing.
You got to put them in front of your body. Come on, Bob. How
There
many?
you go. Nice Hoka's. So I've been wanting to buy running shoes for a couple of months, and got the Hoka's, and I'm actually thinking I might go running later today because unlike most people, when it rains, I love to run. So we've got low 60s later and rain. That is like calling my name. So hoping that the new running shoes inspire me to run more often because it hasn't been something I've prioritized lately. And when I run more, I tend to be more calm and I tend to problem solve better because I use the time running to solve problems.
What was that word you just used?
That was two more, so we're at four.
Better. Yes.
Oh,
so here's my question. I'm going to ask this to the audience before I share my celebration.
Okay.
Because Bob and I were having this conversation before we kicked off, and he was talking about his sneakers.
Oh, you're going to go there.
So I'm curious to our listeners, put in the comments what Bob just showed, if you can see them. And if you can't, just let us know. Do you use the phrase running shoes or tennis shoes, or are they sneakers? Love to hear your feedback. And I'm wondering if that's a regional thing. I have a feeling it is.
Like soda and pop and
hoagies
soda
and subs
pop and cola.
things.
Yeah. Could be. Could very well be.
We'll see. We shall see.
Okay. I'm on the edge of my seat on that one because I think I called them tennis shoes earlier when Tom and I were
That's where you
talking
started.
about
It was
this.
tennis
Yes.
shoes. And I was like, do
Yes.
you really wear shoes to play tennis?
Well, I wear shoes when I play tennis because that court can be kind of rough on the feet if it's that, was it asphalt or whatever. I mean, if I played on a grass course at Wimbledon, I might not.
You wouldn't just wear sneakers?
I don't think the top tennis players in the U.S. and the world are wearing sneakers to play tennis. I think they're wearing tennis shoes.
Okay.
This is sort of like soccer and football too, right? There's another one, right?
Well, that's, I guess.
But different parts of the world, they call what we call football. What we call soccer, they call football. And what we call football, no one outside this region really calls football. I don't know what they call
it American football.
Okay, American football.
Because now,
like Australian rules rugby that they used to fill the time on ESPN on back when it first started.
Yes. I love the officials in that. They're little, they come down there.
Yeah.
Very formal and very
They were, yes.
restricted.
So what, Tom, are you celebrating today while we wait for some comments to fly in?
So my celebration today is that what is my celebration today? Interesting. Again, I think about this frequently. My celebration today is that that I had some thoughts about some language for a marketing message that I'm getting ready to put out. And I was working on that a little bit last night, and I'm excited about sharing it because I think it's going to have some impact. And I'll also celebrate that yesterday I do a bunch of work for the Maryland Association, and actually it's called Maryland Nonprofits now, and they're the state association for nonprofit organizations. And so they reached out to me actually twice yesterday. One, unfortunately, I couldn't do because I'm out of town. And they asked me to do some board training. And so I'm going to work with an organization on helping them with their boards.
Did you recommend me for the one that you can't do? Because I can probably fake my way through it.
I did not, because you're not, as far as I know, an associate consultant of Maryland Nonprofits. You could be If you chose, if you wanted
Really?
to put your name forward, I could put your name forward.
We should talk about that. Interesting. Interesting.
Certainly.
Did not even think about that until we just had that discussion. And there, folks, is how networking works. Notice, you just talk about life. And this is what Tom and I have been doing for how long now? Probably a decade
At
of
least.
just talking about what we're doing and then just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then one thing led to another, and now we're telling each other more. Well, I'm telling you more every day. You don't tell me more that much because I'm always talking. But once in a while, you offer more. I mean, we've tipped those scales. It's probably 96% my time and 4% your time. We've had a pretty busy week.
Fair enough. All right.
Or
so
like
let's
my
pivot.
Wordle score.
How is your Wordle score? Just curious. What's your streak?
I think it's 2 games. I'm up to 81%. Go ahead. Tell us your percentage.
So I am on my streak is from the day I started. I think I'm at 87 or 88 in a row now.
So you have 100% success.
I did.
And for those of you who don't know what Wordle is, because there are some people that don't, it's a game that they built. It's got 5-letter words. You have to figure out the 5-letter word in 6 tries. Each time you put letters in, it tells you if they're the wrong letters, if it's a letter in the word, or if it's the correct letter in the correct place. And so I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to realize the process of elimination.
Getting
And I
better.
actually took your advice, and I've been doing my first word based on what I feel. And that's actually changed. That's changed the game for me a little bit. But I almost fell into a box today, like the words that were left, or the letters that were left, were not any of the normal letters. There wasn't an S. There wasn't a, there was a C, and that always throws me. But I
haven't
did
done
figure
yet.
it out.
Don't give it away.
I'm not giving it away.
Like yesterday, you gave away the ending of a movie. Are you spoiling Wordle?
Oh,
today?
by the way, that movie was Love Guaranteed.
Got it.
Love Guaranteed.
Yes, and if you want to go watch this movie, don't listen to yesterday's episode because Bob.
It's fun.
basically
Come on,
gives it
Tom.
away.
Every romantic comedy, they're going to kiss at the end.
It's there again. You just gave it away. Okay.
I'm giving away every romantic comedy.
Okay, I guess it's fair. So I actually had I had 2 days ago, I had a point where I had used 5 choices, and I had 4 letters correct, except for the first letter was the one I couldn't figure out. And I had 3 in a row where I had like 4 letters, and so I got down to my 6th chance, and I had narrowed it down. There were 4 letters that could have worked. I was a little nervous that my streak was going to end. And fortunately enough, it ended up being the S, which I thought was.
What was the word? I can't remember what the word was.
Sound, maybe. Sound?
Okay. Or salsa?
No, that was, I think, yesterday's.
Okay. All right.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe it was sound.
Because it was like a word that, because
Pound, pound, found, bound, round,
bound.
Yeah, wound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at 4 words and I was like, or I had 4 letters that could have worked. I'm just
That's
going
a stressor.
Yeah, that's about as stressed as I've been in a while.
Hey, Tom, I want to jump in. My sister Beth is with us this morning. Good morning, Bob and Tom. Always like when I get first billing. Let's just face it. I say tennis shoes and not running shoes. People who shop at Marshall's, where Beth works, will come and ask for running shoes or tennis shoes. Older people will ask for sneakers. Have a great day. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. The best message we've ever gotten. I think indirectly, Tom, my sister called you old.
That's okay. Just feedback. Would you have been able to say the same thing had she said that it's the old people who call them tennis shoes and running shoes? How would you have taken that?
I would take it as fine. Tom, I deal with someone every day who points out that I'm older. Every single day. It's running commentary. So and I'm 5 years older than this person, and it's a running thing, and that's fine. I don't care. What can I do, right? Age is up here, really. In my head, I think I'm about 34, 35. I used to think until recently, until maybe a year ago, I thought I was 26 in my head. And some would argue that I act like a 15-year-old more than I should. So maybe my head and the reality need to right size a little bit. But that's a story for another day. Hey, I got a crazy idea, Tom.
You want to talk about pivoting?
Yes. It's only 20 minutes in. We should talk about our topic. Crazy thought.
Sure.
So
you want to dive in?
I do. So first of all, I think we have to just one more time set up the distinction. We're going on our pathway, trying to achieve whatever it is, whatever success means to us. You define it however you choose. Success could be getting to go run at noon today for me. It could be signing 43 new clients. It could be getting the letter finally to the post office and mailed to the person I needed to mail the letter to. It could be doing my taxes. Doesn't matter. As we go down that road, we have moments where we thought we were going to do something. I thought I was going to run at noon today, and then maybe at 11:15, someone calls and says, I need your help with something. I have the opportunity. I can help the person or say, I'm sorry, I'm going for a run at noon, or I have an appointment at noon, whatever. And if I move my run to 12:30 because I've helped this person, I would argue that's a course adjustment. If I choose to go run, or if I choose not to go run and instead help this person, I would argue that's a pivot. And so in this world of pivoting, what I like about the idea about which option is, do you disagree? I'm sorry, I should have asked that sooner.
I was thinking about that. I guess a lot of it depends is if you had a goal for the day, what your destination ultimately was. And if
your goal is to get my work task list done and to get in a run, ideally while it's raining, because I like to run in the rain. So in some ways, those are competing interests. They could be.
I also wonder if that's. I was having this conversation with someone the other day about because they're sharing their goals, and a lot of their goals to me were tasks. And
well, my goal is to be healthier.
Okay.
And so the running is towards that goal. My goal in my business is to grow my business and hit some revenue targets each quarter. Certainly doing more work today will help achieve that. More work rather than less work probably is going to help me get closer to that. Just guessing. No guarantees, but safe bet, I think.
So actually, I think it's interesting because I think that plays right into the conversation is you have two ultimate goals for your day. One that deals with work, and one that kind of maybe deals not completely with work, or maybe, I don't know, it depends on how you define it.
Right.
And so in some regards, you are at a checkpoint when that person calls and says you had a plan that you were going to focus on one goal. This person called and then said, that's, I need some help. Could you help me? And you are now in that checkpoint of saying, okay, which is the priority? What am I trying to accomplish? What do I know based on what it looks like? Is helping this person just to add value for them? Is it potentially leading to them as a client? Is it they're my friend and I want to help? Which could serve either one of those goals some ways. And so I think that would be pivoting from what you chose initially. So if you chose to go that way. Now, if your ultimate goal is more just about your overall well-being, which incorporates both your physical well-being and your business's well-being, then it could just be a course adjustment. Because this conversation could ultimately lead to helping your overall well-being, because it could lead to a client. So that's a course adjustment to me. So a lot of it depends on what is the destination. And then we can figure out whether we're pivoting whether it's pivoting from goal to goal or pivoting from option to option in the course that we are taking to achieve that goal. Does that make any sense?
Yes, and that's a really interesting distinction you just stumbled upon, which is pivoting goal to goal versus pivoting step to step.
That ultimately, I think that's why it's so critical. And we talked about this at the beginning of the calendar year. So if you want to go back and listen to your pathway destination, is being really clear about your destination. I mean, I was talking with a client yesterday, and their destination was a little all over the place. And so I was trying to work with them, and they're going to work on over the course of the week, part of our Renegade Pathway to Success program member, to figure out how to get more clarity on the destination. Because if you're unclear about that, how do you figure out the steps that you're going to take and which ones to take, and prioritizing those things within it is a real challenge. And so to me, that's all of this sort of comes from being crystal clear as much as you can in the moment about what is your destination.
Can I stop what you just said about the whole idea that you don't know what your destination is? I think how that shows up for people, especially for me, is I have a million things on my list to do, and I never feel like I complete those things. So by the end of the day or the end of the week or the end of the month or the end of the year, I feel like I did a whole bunch of stuff, but it wasn't working towards the goal. I think it also shows up as you jump from thing to thing to thing. You chase the bright, shiny object, right? You go from, oh, wow, everyone's using Instagram. I'm going to start being an Instagram influencer. And then 2 weeks later, I'm going to be a TikTok person. Oh, someone mentioned me Snapchat's really good for marketing. I'm going to use Snapchat. Oh, wait, someone said direct mail is the answer. Someone said this, and just on and on and on. Or the person who gets started on their day and doesn't know what to do. And so instead of doing something, they scroll through social media. They clean their desk for the 88th time this month. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I was in someone's office, and they had the cleanest desk in the world. And when I started to talk to them, they're like, yeah, I really struggle in the morning to get started. And I find myself falling into a trap. I'm like, let me guess. You clean your desk. They're like, how'd you know? I said, because it's spotless. Everything was piled. Even the folders were like lined up so you could see the tabs for each. And I said to the person, I'm like, there's someone I know who, a lawyer I met, and he's very productive. And he's got files everywhere. It's chaos. You can just see that he is focused on getting this case ready. And the person's like, oh, I wish I had that much focus. And I think that's one of the challenges for a leader and an entrepreneur and an owner, is that whole idea of, where do I put my time? And so this whole idea of pivoting, I think you get at the real key point here, and why we're really spending this time with it, is you can't know when you're pivoting unless you know what you're trying to achieve. And if you're pivoting, just like the image we gave on the basketball court, when you stop dribbling and you're standing there, you have three choices: shoot the ball, throw the ball, hold on to the ball. Now, if your one foot that's on the ground and can't move, leaves its space, you're going to be called for traveling, and the other team gets the ball. So you have those three choices. And in most college basketball, at least, I don't know about pros, you have like 5 seconds before you have to make a decision. You can't just sit there for the rest of the game and hold the ball. You've got to start moving and doing something. And I think that's really symptomatic of what we face as leaders, owners, and entrepreneurs, is you can't sit all day and go, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. You got to make a decision. Or what I find for me, if I don't make a decision, the decision is made for me. My inaction becomes a decision all its own.
Just like it does in basketball.
Yep.
Correct. Your decision is not to do anything, is to turn and really what you're deciding is you're going to turn the ball over to the other team, rather than, because you don't know which of the other things to do. And I think what happens too is that in your example you were talking about, I think part of the challenge is people just pivot all over the place.
Right.
my foot's still stuck in the ground of my work as the big, big, big goal. And I haven't prioritized. And so I just keep pivoting from one thing to another because I think they're all important. And I think that's one of the challenges is, how we perceive all the things that we have to do.
Right. And I think it really gets to that idea that you brought up of you've got to know what your destination is. Because if you don't know where the basket is on a basketball court, you might be pivoting the complete wrong direction, throw the ball to the person going the other way, and they score for the other team. Or you may throw it out of bounds.
Or you may just pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot
Right.
and miss open people because you're
Correct.
now looking this way and they're over there.
Correct. And I think we do have the blinders on often without even knowing it. Because something gets complicated or we lose our confidence or the system we thought we had in place breaks down or it wasn't really a system at all.
Correct. There wasn't a system.
Right. It was just we did it once and for whatever reason it worked out and then we just did it again and it didn't work out the second time because, oh, that's right. I forgot. I have to X or Y or Z. So I want to jump in with my sister's comment. Tom, you'll like this. I knew this was coming. No, I didn't call Tom old. Yes, she did. I was talking about people who are shopping for young kids 5 years or less who don't know what to call things because of the generation gap. Great topic this week. Oh, there you go. Like that. Love those words of affirmation. Keep them coming, people.
Is that a judgment? Not really.
Darn it.
It's okay.
All right, that's 5. I'm keeping track.
So, Bob, is it time to go to your one thing? Do you have one?
I think it is. I think I didn't really realize about the options around pivoting. You can't know what your options are, and you can't really assess your options unless you know what your destination is very clearly. And I never pieced that together in the way that you did about 8 minutes ago. How about you?
Well, mine goes a little bit, it's along the same lines, and I think it's about prioritizing. If you're not clear on what the priority is, go back to our basketball example. If you're way behind, the priority is we need to score points, so you might want to be looking to shoot. If it's a close game, and depending on how much time is left, you might have to shoot because that's the only thing you can do. If you're winning by a lot and your goal is to keep the ball away, you can pivot for a little bit and then you're looking to pass. And so I think that really understanding the situation, which goes to your point of being clear about what the goal is and what the priorities are, I think helps us when we try to pivot. Again, it's one thing to pivot to something completely out of the blue. And I think that's a little bit of the difference between a pivot and a course adjustment. So the course adjustment is you're still kind of heading in the same direction. You're just finding a different way to do it. Pivoting is like, okay, I need to change. I need to move. I need to choose a different path and figure that out. I'm no longer in the email world. I'm now I'm going to move over into social media because I think that's the way it is. Because you're still trying to get how do you, in that example, how do you communicate to people and how do you get your message out? And I think the challenge always becomes that we haven't prioritized anything. And so then we're stuck trying to figure out, well, maybe my pivot should be completely away from trying to connect and engage with people to doing something completely different. And I think that those things are so clearly going along is not only knowing what your destination is clearly, it's prioritizing the things that you want to do to try to get there. And then that helps. It makes it a lot easier when you come to these checkpoints and you're trying to decide. You've already determined sort of what the priorities are. Not that they can't change. At least you have determined what the priorities are. So going back to your situation, initially when we talked about it, is if somebody calls and you were planning to go running, you can then make a choice based on today you've prioritized your health and nothing's going to get in the way of your run. And again, the challenges sometimes come as if that was all part, it's all part of the same goal. And then how do I, again, prioritize? Okay, during my day, if something pops up, the priority is running, client calls, email, whatever down the
Right.
list, so that when they happen, you're prepared and you say, okay, yeah, I've already got this prioritized out. And so I know exactly how it's going to look. And I've also already considered what are the obstacles that could pop up with my prioritization. I think that's the other part of it.
Someone's listening to this are going to call me at 11:30 and say, I have a problem, Bob. You need to deal with this right away, just to mess with me.
Maybe it'll be me.
That'd be a good test.
Yes. So I think
Because typically I would put work first. And sometimes that is to my own detriment.
Well, it's all a choice, right? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing. I can't believe I used that word.
Uh-oh. That's one judgment for Tom.
Mine should just be my belt should be on when I say words that I say are not a part of my vocabulary.
Okay. All right.
Without the air quotes. I will give
maybe that's what we keep score on each day. Who says more? More judgments or more words that are not part of your vocabulary?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure out about that. I think we have the ability to make the choice, and that's to me the beauty of being a renegade. And I think some of the things that what draws people to being small business owners and entrepreneurs is they get to decide what the priority is. They get to decide the choices that are made based on their knowledge, experience, and perspective, and ultimately, what's the destination that they're trying to reach. If you were working for someone else, there's a pretty good chance the decision would be made for you.
Right.
Is why would you could go run anytime. Why wouldn't you take the client call? And you'd be like, yeah, I see that perspective. The opportunity is we get to choose and we get to prioritize. And I think that's why this pathway, which is ultimately our larger conversation, can be so enticing to people.
I like it.
All right.
That's quite a lot going on when you really think about it. But I think it's really a great discussion for us to be having. And hopefully it's encouraging other people to think through those things more. Because I think sometimes we just fall into habits and don't even think about what this means and how it can really play a role in how we feel about what we do and what we do.
Edward summed it up very well. Renegade. Thanks, Edward. I think that's where this all sort of started. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being a part of our show today. Thank you to Beth and Edward for your comments. We appreciate that. And it's okay, Beth. I didn't really think you were calling me old. I appreciate all your thoughts that you share with us. If you haven't been listening to the podcast, as Bob mentioned earlier, if you can remember way back when that was said, and you don't have the opportunity to comment, please feel free to join us in the Ring of Renegades. You can share your thoughts and ideas there. And even if you're not listening to the podcast and you're hearing this for the first time or seeing it for the first time, and you feel like, I'd like to learn more about this group and how it is helping others figure out how to develop strategies that build systems that create the confidence they need to take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. Go to Ring of Renegades in Facebook and you can find out more. We look forward to seeing you in that group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to start saying 7-ish a.m. Eastern time.
We have to be better about that.
Ring the bell.
That's 6.
We look forward to you at 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it. I'm telling you, you know it, I know it. It's worth it. Be a renegade.
Yes, indeed. And go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.